Hello, bonjour, savant. How are we tonight? It is Saturday, July the 18th, 2026, here in downtown Sarnia. There is the St. Clair River. There is Port Huron. There's my tree. Now you can see it. Yep, I didn't expect that. Normally this doesn't happen till around 9, and I think it's just after 8 right now. So, coming on, I've got a message. I am going to give you a little update though about the weather here. As you can see, it's not as bad, and today there was actually blue sky, and the smell went away for a while. I was able to get out and about, get some stuff done. Had to go back to Home Depot and finish up my purchase that I wasn't able to do the other day due to the smoke and them closing it down, the outside part, the garden part. So I went back, got my soil that I needed for my new big planter for my balcony here, and some plants. So started in on that job today. And then the big storm hit. I'm okay with that. It looked like it was a Caribbean storm. Like it was crazy. But again, the humidity around 37. It was pretty hot, but very intense. Blew over quickly. I was able to get out for a walk. It was nice, but I was just checking out the balcony there, and it's that smell is back. It's a weird smell. It doesn't really smell like smoke. Like it looks like smoke, but it has a very weird smell, and it hurts your lungs. Like it's not pleasant. I don't know how to describe it. Different people have described it smelling in different. All I know is that when I breathe it, my lungs hurt. They really hurt. And it's just like, oh, no, shutting the place up and got the air conditioners going. So at least the air is breathable when you're inside. So that's about it. I don't know how long this is going to go on for. May go on for another day. Just keeps going on and going on. But yes, we have had one or two little breaks in between, which has been nice, and I'm sure the rain helped as well. So there we are. We're all caught up to date. But my eyes have been itchy. I'm always allergic to something at some point, somewhere, somehow. But I find when I do go out for a walk, my eyes are itchy, and I end up, you know, how you rub your eyes. Even when I was walking, like end up rubbing my eyes because it's itchy. It's itchy. I think we all react differently to all these toxins and pollutants, and but that's how that is. My nose, my eyes, my ears. It's all And of course, I'm very sensitive with the chest. Anything with the breathing apparatus, a little sensitive there. Anyway, we're getting through it. The message has been very clear yesterday and today. I was thinking of coming on yesterday, but I was, yeah, didn't feel like it. So I'm here tonight instead, making up for it. As you know, I have been, studying and researching some of the stuff that's going on in Europe. I've talked about it, a few videos here or there. I don't like the politics of your world, but sometimes we just have to put up with it and learn about it so we can talk about it if that's something that Spirit is guiding me or us to do. I have been watching a number of these shows on YouTube about, uh, the ideology clash, the Islamic Muslim point of view, their beliefs, the Western democratic beliefs. I've been looking at, like oil and water, like what they say. Like, yeah, it doesn't mix, does it? Two opposing views, big sorry, just skin feels itchy too, with all this stuff. Um, so it's hard. Just want to scratch. Um, Lost my train of thought. Okay, yeah. So the main bugaboo, as we would say here in Canada, is that it's the masculine wanting to suppress the feminine in some very brutal ways. Like it's pretty nasty stuff. Just just kind of wondering if the roles were reversed, how you guys would feel. Um, but the whole point of it is to see through the facade, okay? Because there's some dangerous theories floating around out there about us and women and the dynamics of the inferior race or whatever. Anyway, there's all kinds of crazy stuff going on, crazy talk, crazy expressions of thought, and it's detrimental to our health. So I made the decision today to walk away from watching all this stuff. I've been inundated. Once you click on a video, like the AI generated YouTube stuff, they just give you tons and tons of these things. And then it's like, I don't want to listen to this anymore. So yeah, I made the decision today and I like not interested, clicking not interested, like don't show me any more of this stuff. I don't want to see it. I learned what I was supposed to learn so that I can have a broader view, a greater understanding of what's going on your world at this particular time in this particular space. So just before I came on, I was already getting the download, like really pushing me. It's 2 days now that I have been in resistance to coming on talking about it, because again, these aren't my favorite things to talk about in the world. But what I was shown, I, I can't express strongly enough how strong and consistent is this message coming through from the guidance system, from Spirit Light right now, about the division and separation on your world. Like, this is crazy making. I know in one of the videos, I do remember now that I did channel that this ideological war is in effect functioning at full force right now. Talked about the astrology showing the same thing. I've heard it from various astrologers, spiritual astrologers. Okay, so we're in the midst of the throes of these renditions of lower thought. But what is being constantly impressed upon me for the last few days is that this is a make or break system. Like it's a make or break time system. It's almost like there's a time warp thing going on here with your attitudes. I'm hearing it like longitude and latitudes with your attitudes of lower light and then coming into higher might. Oh dear. And my team always likes to come from humor. They call themselves the fun team. This is my central sunlight team, okay? Because we do function with various teams and groups, leaders of teams, and so on and so forth. But what I was shown before I came on here, I hope you can appreciate the point of view that's being expressed. I'm just transmitting the information to you, okay? So don't shoot the messenger. But basically, it is make or break time. I mean, we've got to come together here. We're just going to blow each other up. going to blow each other to smithereens if we keep going on this way, because this is just the beginning of the antagonism on your world and on your planet. You keep this up, and there is a timeline where, you can literally blow each other up. I just keep hearing to smithereens. That was an old phrase. Do we really want to do that? I mean, seriously. And if the answer is yes, I'd ask you why. My favorite question, why? Why do you want to die? You don't have to. It doesn't have to be that way. So I was coming on tonight and I went, okay, fine. I'll sit down. I'll transmit your knowledge and your message and your ways of thinking to the people here. I'll just, sit down and blah, send it out. So as soon as I agreed to do that, I heard and I saw this picture in my mind. And I have talked about this, but gosh, that was a long time ago, I think with another YouTube channel I had at the time. And I'm just going to ask you, do you remember the old cartoons, Pinky and the Brain? Do you remember that? I know that's been a long time. And I know when my children were young, and when I was married with children, that's when that show was on. It was a TV show. And I know my ex-husband loved it too. So my sons and I went in and out of the room once in a while to watch it. Yeah, it wasn't too much of an interest to me, but the few times I watched it, it was kind of funny. But basically, in case you don't know, and probably most of you don't know, it was about two lab mice. Okay, it's a cartoon. Two lab mice. And I don't know. Who knows what's been done to these mice, right? By, the people in the lab. But anyway, we've ended up with two mice. One is like a super brain, he's super intelligent. And then there's one mouse that's just the opposite, like super dumb, like really stupid. Doesn't know anything about anything, like really dumb. And so they have this routine that they do. And every night when the lab is quiet and everybody's gone home, they get into this conversation. And Pinky goes over to the brain and says, well, what are we going to do tonight? And the answer, of course, is always the same. Well, of course, we're going to take over the world. Okay, how are we going to do that? And then there'd be some great scheme. So the cartoon, the show, I don't know, half an hour show, I think it was. And so there was this big scheme about how this brainiac mouse was going to, take over the world because he was so smart and he could. He knew what was going on, and just like the one who was less intelligent, shall we say, was always in awe. Wow, you just are so smart. You can just do anything. You're just, oh, wow, But of course, every night, his little creation failed, and he didn't get to take over the world. No matter how hard he tried, he could not accomplish taking over the world. And in fact, at certain times, it kind of seemed like Pinky was the smart one. Less intelligence, more common sense. I don't know, maybe that had something to do with it. Anyway, so a spirit was giving me this message for tonight about our division and separation, getting crazy here with ideological beliefs. The main culprit being, of course, religious beliefs, but they're all beliefs. So I was shown all these various and sundry people and organizations down through the ages who have been like the brain, our lab mouse, thinking that they could take over the world. Completely foiled. I mean, some of them lasted for a certain length of time. But as I was shown, as I was guided, as I was advised, there's a certain time limit that is allowed here for, you to experiment with all kinds of dastardly, innovative, creative, nonsensical, magical, wondrous, ways of me and means of being. So I kind of heard a list. So I heard about Caesar, back in Rome, the Roman time, when Rome took over the world. And I heard about the Islam and Muslims with their idea of taking over the world, infiltrating, countries and taking over, working from within. I saw about, Hitler and Stalin and all those guys. I saw the royal families, especially the British. I mean, they took over the world. The sun never set on the British Empire. I grew up with that. I was taught that in history. Here are all the countries that Britain rules. Memorize them for our test next week. So I learned all about that. And then, like we can look at the states, right? With the American royalty, as they like to call it, with all their Rockefellers and so on and so on and so on. Anyway, you get the picture. I don't know all the countries and all their worldly aspects of lower light, but bottom line, trying to take over the world is not a new thing. It wasn't just invented by Pinky and the Brain. There's been a lot of other beings who've tried. They've come in, they've sold the earth and planet to other beings, and they came in and took over, and then others came in and blasted things up, and then other groups came in. I mean, this is a long, long line of stories, history, going back gazillions of years. We like to be accurate here, so that's why we use the term gazillions. And there's just been one stepping over the other in the takeover zone, one by one. And they've all lost. And they always will. Because that viewpoint or that lower will aspect of the lower light will never be able to succeed any more than the brain could ever succeed. Night after night after night of trying. Gotta give it to the mouse, though. I mean, he was relentless. He just never gave up, and he came up with a new scheme every night. I mean, think about that. That's very creative. Now, if he could have used that creativity for building something wonderful, instead of being this megalomaniac, wanting the power over, I want to control everything, so I can feel better about myself, and maybe I can think for a moment I'm powerful too, but I really don't. It's a secret. Don't tell anybody. I really feel inferior and less than about everything. And that's what I was shown and guided to say here tonight. As well as saying there's only a certain amount of time allotted in a particular cycle of time here on your world and others. And then time is up. Everything ascends back or goes back to, through the struggle to the higher light, back to source. We play the game again. What did we learn? We learned about the struggle. We learned about the experience. We learned about the lower light. We learned about the higher light. We learned what it was like to come in, all powerful, divest ourselves of all of our energy light and become low and dark, and then come back up again. And when the next cycle hits, we'll probably do it all over again. And we'll learn new stuff then. But bottom line, what I was hearing tonight is the time is up. The jig is up. Don't even remember what that means anymore. So the time allotted for this time slot is over, out, and done. Okay? You're climbing back now to the higher one. You're coming back to the higher central sun. And this is the lesson that you have won. W-O-N. Because you've been serving mankind since the day begun. Okay, so those of us who are here have been serving mankind and helping us rise out of our doldrums back into our higher light. And those who've had enough of it are done. So we're in a resurrection of our higher sun. Okay, so the sun, the central sun, is the center of the universe here. There are many others elsewhere. We're just talking about here, in your area, in your little corner of space. And you're part of the diamond race. Okay. So you need to elevate your own new space and come back to your wisdom and grace. And that's about being part of the higher genetic race. So all of this kerfuffle, it's got to stop. The infighting has to stop. The crazy belief systems have to stop. They're all incorrect. They're all full of subterfuge and lies. All of them. Every single one of them. So there isn't one religion that is accurate or true. There isn't one governmental system that's accurate or true. They're all full of falsehoods, meant to be demeaning to you and keep you from your higher light. It's true. So there's been an abomination going on since the beginning of time. And now it's time to turn on a dime. And from hence we shall climb. Okay, we're coming out of this demonic mind, this lower mind, this animalistic mind. We're changing the DNA. We're changing the fragmentation of the lower, darker mind. It's all coming back to source, whether you like it or not. It's the way it is. It's the way it's set up from the beginning. So higher light wins out in the end. Bottom line, if you haven't figured that out by now. Even though we've said it how many times. Oh my goodness. This is the strongest I've heard this. I've always heard snippets here or there over the years, but nothing like the concentration of the thought waves on this one. It's do or die, people. Get rid of your crazy belief system. I don't care which one it is. They're all wrong. You've all got to humble yourselves and accept that the differences in the lower light, they're pretty much all the same. You've been hoodwinked. You've been brainwashed. You've been energized in lower light. And that's where you get your fear and your fright. You have to return to your higher light. Okay? You're not going to excel. You're not going to grow. You're going to stagnate. And it's like flow and be pulled into the undertow. Well, that's something I know, the feeling of when you're out there swimming. Go out in that channel. I saw people out there on that boat cruise. People were actually jumping into that water to swim. It was never allowed when I grew up. It's too dangerous. You get pulled into the channel or that current gets you. I mean, that current's so strong it smashes boats, big ships. There's been a lot of them wrecked in that channel. You don't jump in and try to swim in a current that is so strong. That is so strong. I'll get this right. Oh, with people with whom you don't belong. Oh, yeah, because their beliefs are so strong. Yeah, you jump in with those beings of thought with these belief systems that are super duper strong and of lower light. You get in with people like that, you're going to be swept along in their current. They'll pull you under, right, and tear you asunder. I was just educating myself today on my walk. I went over to, I think it's over here more, you can't see it, where the harbor is, the Sarnia Harbor, the actual port. And I saw this big sign. And I thought, well, I should actually just stop and read it for a change instead of walking by it. And it explained in 1972 there was an incident which I don't even remember that. I don't know how I didn't remember that, but anyway, I don't remember that. Um, just wondering if I was still living at home. I might have been. Yeah, I think I still was. But anyway, I digress. So the story is apparently there was a Canadian ship and there was an American ship, and they were passing each other as they do in the shipping lanes uh, in the channel, under the bridge. In other words, that's what I mean by in the channel. Okay, it's very narrow. And I guess the current became so strong at one point that it pulled the Canadian ship into the American ship, and they hit, and the American ship sunk within a very short period of time. But there was it's a Mr. Campbell, forget his first name, Robert, probably. It's a Highlander. The Campbells have their castle just up the way from the Mingus Castle, which my mother's family is part of. And I guess he got in his little pilot boat and went over and rescued the Americans off of their ship before it sank, thankfully, got everybody off. Anyway, so I was reading this whole story and what they did with the hull, and they flipped it over, and now we use it as a wharf, apparently. Yada, 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 big long story. But I found that rather fascinating. I was thinking, why don't I remember this? Like, I'm pretty sure I still was living at home then, before I went off to school in Toronto. But anyway, I'll have to go and figure that out, what year it was I left Sarnia. Quite the story. So those two ships were, doing their own thing, minding their own business, and then boom, the current pulled them into each other. One of them didn't survive. And that's what happens when you get pulled down by others' beliefs. You get swept along into their way of thinking when you should be thinking for yourself. Stay autonomous, stay your own being, stay your own authentic self. Don't get pulled down by others' ideas. They may not be, that great. You may think they're great. Someone may flatter you in that group, or puff your ego up, or make you feel wanted and belonged. Ooh, nobody else. I haven't felt like I belong to any other group other than this group, so I'm going to stay there even though I know their ideas and beliefs are crazy. But I'm going to be loyal. I'm going to stick to those beliefs. So you belong to these groups for a myriad of reasons and ideas that have nothing to do with the truth of the matter. So analyze yourself, look at yourself with that mirror, Look, why do you believe what you believe? Somebody tell you to? Do you actually think that's sane? Do you think there's any truth to it? There was a guy out here. I went for a walk yesterday. It was just starting to clear up, and I could go for, again, a short little walk. I go right at the water, the wind's off the water, and it's a little bit, you can manage. I could manage. Only one or two people out. This guy shows up, and he sits down by himself, and I'm coming up to him on my walk, and there's this young couple, and they go off to the left, and I'm off to the right, and he's sitting on a bench, a park bench, right smack dab in the middle, where all the roads kind of converge. They make kind of like a Y with all the paths. The young couple walking their dog. Everybody walks a dog here. Everybody. It's a big thing. I don't have pets, but that's what they do. They're minding their own business. They're tra-la-la-la-la, walking along. They were happy. They were laughing. They were enjoying each other's company. The dog was well behaved. It was a nice looking dog, nothing to be afraid of. And this guy sat there and he starts yelling and screaming, and I don't know what language it was, but I heard that word. What's the word in Islam or Muslim about a dog that's not, it's not, oh, what is the word? How, it starts with an H anyway. Like it's not good. They think it's bad anyway, or that it's toxic or whatever. I'm not explaining this very well, but I'm sure that you can look that up. Anyway, they don't like dogs, bottom line, and it's because they're drool or something. It's unclean. That's the word. There we go. It's unclean, and he's yelling and screaming. I don't know, and I'm like look at like, what is your problem? These people. You're not even near the guy. And I'm just like, why are you doing that? So you have this belief system that the dog is unclean. So you hate dogs. And you can't even keep your belief system to yourself. You got to scream it out and yell at anybody who has a dog and get violent. You think that's sane? I was thinking at first, like, there's something wrong with this man, because I couldn't figure out why he was yelling and screaming. He was just, seriously, it was only me and that young couple. There was nobody, and their dog. There was nobody else around, because not too many people are crazy enough to go out with this air quality, except me and a few other people with their dogs. I'm thinking, buddy, if you don't control yourself, somebody's going to pick you up, throw you in the mental institution here, and throw away the key, because he looked really nuts. Makes no sense to us. Obviously, his belief system, it's quite normal. So there's a lot of craziness out there. There's a lot of belief systems that make no sense. Seriously, make no sense at all. Start going through your beliefs. Seriously, go through them. I believe this. And then analyze it. Really? Really? On certain days, you can only do certain things. Seriously? Remember with the Catholics, when I grew up, it was you could only eat fish on Fridays. Really? Well, why do you believe that? They'll tell you something out of the Bible. Believe me, I've read the Bible a couple times. I've read all kinds of religious books. Growing up, I had fascination with it, and I've studied it. About the Council of Nicaea. I researched and studied that. Nag Hammadi, been there, done that. As you know, I'm not religious anymore. I am spiritual. That's what I say or label if somebody needs a word which I don't like, but anyway, that's the best I can do for you. You can make up anything from scriptures in books. You can argue your cause on either side. You can debate it and you can find proof on either side. I mean, it's ridiculous. It's insane. You're being played and you're insane. Makes no sense. There was one church. I went in and out, as I've told you multiple times. I'm getting all these pictures, okay, in my mind to talk about. Oh, it's my air conditioner there. All the liquid it's spewing out at the moment. If you're hearing water running, that's what that is. Um, there was this one really super duper fundamentalist church that I was in for a while. They did such a number of brainwash, and they were so fast. And they use, apparently, I have read, I don't know if this is true, that there are 9 steps to brainwash someone. Like, yeah. And they used all 9. Most religions use 1 or 2 or 3 or 4, but no. The Catholic Church and this fundamentalist church that I was in used all 9. Oh, you got brainwashed just like that. Oh, they were good. And they told you how to dress. Oh, and then there's the Mormon one. One guy danced with back and Barry. It's like my skirt had to be a certain length. Had to measure it like with a ruler. I mean, seriously, people, wake up. Give your head a shake. But the fundamentalist church actually taught the married couples you're only allowed to have sex 3 times a week. But you've got to give us 10%. You have to tithe. We want 10% of your income a year, plus every, how many years? Oh, plus you're supposed to put aside another 10% for going on religious holy days with the church. And then every, how many years? 3 years, you had to do a third tithe to help the poor. Where does it say that? Okay, it does talk about 10% a tithe in the Bible. Where does it talk about 30%? And the guy running the church had all these beautiful gold dishes, and he just stayed, lived in a mansion. Oh my goodness. Wake up. Wake up. You're being played. You've been played. Don't you want to stop it now? Don't you want it to end? It's time. Wake up. Stop the nonsense. I'm hearing stop being so radical in your belief systems that you cause harm to yourself and others. That's how I'm hearing it. Done some crazy things. I know I've done it too. All for the sake of religion and the government and medical and yeah. Let's just give your 1-year-old child a vaccine. 1 year. Now they do it right away and they wonder why there's problems. And my son almost died. Took that. Was told by the hospital, well, if he makes it through the next 24 hours, he'll survive. If not, he's going to die. I'm sorry, there's nothing we can do about it, even though we, kind of forced you, coercion, brainwashing that you have to have this vaccination or your son will die from disease. Are you getting our point yet? Do you see what we're saying? I stopped the vaccinations right then and there. And I had doctors, pediatricians refuse to look after my child. This is my first son, firstborn. As a result, it was a battle getting through the school system. I had to have all kinds of documents and things. I don't even know if you can pull that off now, but I fought it tooth and nail. Fought it for 20 years until they were ready to go out on their own after high school. I know all about this. Been there, done that. I woke up to the brainwashing of the medical community then and there. Up until then, I was a good girl. I took the vaccinations. Excuse me, I did what I was told. I did all the drugs that they said would make me better and just nearly killed me. Until I went cold turkey and actually got better. And as you know, I'm a herbalist. I use herbs, supplements. Anyway, you've heard that for years from me. I don't want to bore you with any more of that. All the systems are corrupt. The legal system, everything. You're all brainwashed from birth. We've said this to you very nicely and gently for a while now. It's not going to be gentle speech anymore. This is radicalizational thought that's being propagated and perpetuated on your earth and on your planet, and it's got to stop. Now, there's no time left. So get rid of it, junk all your crazy beliefs, all those insanity lessons that you've gone through. And we have learned a lot, haven't we, going through this experience about how insane we can get and still survive. Now we can let that all go, and now we can come back to the higher light and start being sane again, which means, AKA, not brainwashed anymore. We're going through that process of coming back up to our higher light. We're going to see the processing of the higher light, which means bit by bit, step by step, we're going to unshelve all of that old ridiculous propaganda and training from before. And I'm hearing that, and we taught you this before. So now you're going through your own ethereal door. God bless, we tell you this and more. We are bringing you back to your higher core. God bless, we love you. And we will now say no more. I was thinking, boy, I've been talking a long time here, guys. Like, can we wrap it up? So yeah, let's just do that. Let's just wrap it up. I think they, I think my throat's even getting sore from talking so much. I think we've all gotten the picture. I think that was pretty clear, right? The message was pretty clear. See what I mean? How strong it is now? Before we heard it was such a nice, gentle, suggestion. It would be really good, if you look at your beliefs and, did you know you've been brainwashed? And anyway, yeah, this is hard hitting now. And this is what I've been hearing the last few days. So that's why I said I've made the decision today. I'm not listening to any more of this stuff on YouTube because the hype is getting worse. And from all sides, it's not just one against it. It's like everybody's getting in the mix. I dated a policeman for a while, many years back. And he told me he didn't seem like your typical cop. And he was very service oriented, okay? And he told me about what it was like to go through training when he was young and he became a cop. And he said they were told that they had to practice, like let's say this one guy, he's the bad guy, or I can't remember the name they call them, but anyway, I'll just call him the bad guy. Okay, so there's a bad guy. So now we all have to tackle him. So they were taught that, and there were like 15 guys. And they just said, there's that guy's the bad guy. Go get him. And all 15, it's just like the Keystone Cops, it's just like one on top of the other and made this huge pile. And the guy I was dating, he's looking at this like, he was the only thinking one there, apparently, by the sounds of it. Well, the guy on the bottom is probably suffocating to death or dying or something. I don't need to add my weight to this. Like they got him. And he wouldn't do it. And he got in trouble. The other guys were like, oh, way to go. You did a good job. And this one, he's like, seriously? Do we need another one? Do we need another, whatever his weight was at the time? There's no room for thinking. Okay? There's no room for thinking there. It's all brainwashing, or training as they call it. Our schooling, our public school, middle school, we called it high school, university, college, whatever. Seriously? The more schooling you have, the more brainwashed you are. I find the most intelligent people do not have a very high education. They are very intelligent with common sense, like dear Pinky. Yeah. Okay, I'm not hearing anything more at this point. That's been quite a lengthy story there. Blessings, everyone. What can I say? I think we've said it all here. If you do wish to book an appointment with us, you can go to the website www.healingourenergy.ca. And yeah, I've already spoken to you about the class in August. If you want to join, let me know. Still, I'm getting closer to the feeling of picking out a date for next month. It's been a crazy week this last week. I haven't enjoyed the week. It's been a lot of crazy people out there. Can't blame it all on the weather. The astrology is part of it with the energies. But when I've gone out, there's been a number of people this week. Just out when I've been out on walks, like, yeah, not been pleasant. Yeah. I'm going to go. I hope you've enjoyed watching the St. Clair River. There have been some boats going up and down, right? Like I know I saw at least one. And you can see the lights over there in Port Huron. So we're getting better, people, but keep up your prayers. I know there's still smoke up north. Just pray for a speedy wrap-up of all of this stuff, right? Love you. Hang in there. We're just getting to the good part. And then it'll be, over and done with before we know it. All right. Have a good evening. Bye for now.